Namaste YouTube, welcome to Cafe Enoma and welcome to our reaction to Live Like You Were Dying. It is a song by MCGRAW and this is a Patreon request by our patron AZ Music Lover.
I have heard this song, so I'll basically focus on Kirti's reaction. I'll try and guide her by putting on my counselor's hat and asking her a couple of questions here and there. It is a song I've heard a few times. It's not one of the old songs of country music, but definitely it's more of, the songs I heard during my college days and later. So this comes in that era, the post-college as well as working day Savio era. Working day as in the working class man.
Working day Savio era.
Yeah, the young adulthood in other words.
Yes.
Now I'm much older and maybe MCGRAW is, it would
A
be
bit
still
older too. Yeah.
older too. Let's get started and focus on Kirti's pure reaction to this one.
Live like you were dying.
Live like you were dying.
Exactly.
I guess the title says it all, isn't it?
It does.
Said I was in my early 40s with a lot of life before me when a moment came that stopped me on a dime. I spent most of the next days looking at the x-rays, talking about the options and talking about sweet time. I asked him when it sank in that this might really be the real end. How's it hit you when you get that kind of news? Man, what'd you do? And he said, I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. And I loved deeper and I spoke sweeter and I forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. He said I was finally the husband that most of the time I wasn't. And I became a friend would like to have. And all of a sudden going fishing wasn't such an imposition. And I went 3 times that year, I lost my dad. Well, I finally read the good book and I took a good long hard look at what I'd do if I could do it all again. And then I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. And I loved deeper and I spoke sweeter and I gave forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. Like tomorrow was a gift and you got eternity to think about what you do with it. What did you do with it? What did I do with it? What would I do with it? Skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. And I loved deeper and I spoke sweeter and I watched an eagle as it was flying. And he said, someday
Yes, Kirti, your initial thoughts and
Wow.
feelings on this song by Tim McGraw.
Live like you were dying. I loved his voice. I love whenever he would say, I went skydiving. That was the way it was said, the kind of, swing to it. It's just special. That is a very special line, and also live like you were dying. And so many times he would, go a bit extra with that. So I like the way he sang this, and that guitar solo towards the end did add, icing on the cake. The cake was already awesome, but it added an icing on the cake.
What are 3 to 5 things you loved about this song on the first listen?
Okay.
And if at all there's anything that you didn't like or you would like some more of it, you can mention that too.
On the first listen, I don't have anything that I didn't like about the song. I liked everything. It's a good song. It's a song that you can listen to many times. You can listen it with your friends, your family. You can, recommend it to your pal, and it's a great song. I liked his voice. I liked the way he sang it. If one thing I would say, I would have liked a bit more emotion in it, just because I'm thinking about it. A
Okay.
bit more emotion, probably, make me cry or something like that. I'm not yet crying, but the lines of the song should make somebody cry.
Maybe
It's very hard
maybe
hitting.
you have ended it with that person dying who got the news that he's running out of time. Would that do it?
No. The way he sang, I
Okay.
think if he made it even more emotional and melodramatic,
How
and
could
if
he
I
have done
started
that?
crying, I don't
Because-
know. It's up to
Okay.
him. I don't know. On Tim McGraw.
Okay,
So,
what are the things
yeah.
you liked in the
So
song?
I liked the music. I liked his voice. I still like the way he sang it. I like the lyrics a lot, and there is so much that the lyrics are talking. It's very simple. It's so ordinary, about an ordinary man, about a common man's life, and written in a piece of song. But doesn't it make sense? Live like you are dying. This song reminded me 100% of the movie Dallas Buyers Club. And I can draw a parallel to it. While I was watching the movie, towards the end, when he was having foreign trips and he was going to go to Japan and things like that, he was, flying high. He was riding on a high horse. I took a pause and, thought about it. This man, just taking an example of his, I'm getting goosebumps because it's a special thing and what is being spoken about in the song. He was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and he was given a deadline that he would only live for 2 months at the hospital when first day he was diagnosed, beginning of the movie. But that same man lived his life fully after knowing he had a life-threatening, a disease where you cannot come back, you cannot rebound, there's no reversal. The only thing that can happen is you will be falling into it and you are done with life. But the way he lived his life after knowing that, live like you were dying, that's exactly what the movie showed. And the period of time that he lived, more than 2 months, definitely 3 years or so. I remember the dates that they were giving during the movie. About 3 years he lived post the diagnosis, and that was the life actually he ever lived. Why I remember that movie? Because of that bull riding. He goes and gives it a shot to that as well.
Right at the
Maybe
end.
2 seconds or 3 seconds, just like this one, 2.7 seconds. But he did that. So for me, it was a direct connection to that movie. It is about, most of the times, I don't know why, we all do that. Not that I'm any different, anyone is any different. The way we are so involved in our life that we don't see the real picture of life. What we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, how we should be living, how we shouldn't be living. Life is kind of a myth, a mystery, a riddle, a maze that nobody is able to really, put the pieces together, and this is how I picture my life to be. Most people can't, and even if some people do have that picture, they have very superficial picture according them, which they have made according to others around them, which influence them so much that they don't know what they would have liked to paint as a picture of life for themselves. And that's where wisdom and gurus and sages and the wise people, philosophers, guide us, and that is the reason why they were so popular and followed by people. I mean, if only we knew we have a deadline. Once we know we have a deadline, we start running towards it. Our minds open up. Oh, I'm going to die in the next after 30 days and I'm dead. I'll do everything that makes me happy. Why don't we do everything that makes us happy every single day? No reason.
Yeah, life is unpredictable, so what's stopping us from doing it? That's
Once we
right.
have a date, we think, oh, that now I know it. But we all have that date. There is one day that date.
Definitely. For me, I actually had a couple of experiences in my life which literally made me think that, life is pretty fragile and I need to do something about it. What would I do if I'm not around tomorrow?
Yeah.
Will I be happy with leaving this world in this way? And that was a very important question I asked myself. Similarly, this guy asked him, when you heard about the news, what did you do? And
You
this
thought it was
his
end of the
answer.
road?
I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing. He rode that bull named
For 2.7 seconds.
Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu.
And I loved deeper, I spoke sweeter, I gave forgiveness
Wow.
I'd been denying.
Isn't that
Those
great?
3 lines are really powerful. I loved deeper.
Yeah.
I spoke sweeter, I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. It's funny. It's only when you're in a situation where your back is against the wall, or your time on earth is very, very limited now, that you actually start realizing, the other things that actually used to worry me earlier aren't a concern anymore. You have other worries which are so real. Most of the things we worry about haven't happened. And the fact is that when you are in this situation, you actually start realizing what our real worries are. Okay, I have so many days to live, or so many weeks, or so many months. And even that is not guaranteed, because usually when you're given a timeline like that, a deadline, you usually know it could be even before that. It could be extended, it could be even before that. There is something though called the law of attraction, and it plays a very powerful role at such times. When you know you're about to die, you have possibly you're injured or wounded, or you have a terminal illness, or you something like that, then, and the doctors obviously tell you that you have that much time based on the reports and tests. Take a second opinion, and once those opinions also confirm it, then it could be true. So that time the law of attraction play a vital role. How you perceive that your life is about to end. If you decide I'm still going to do my best to live as long as possible, to make the most of my time, chances are that even if it was given a deadline of 2 months, you could possibly extend it to 1 year, 2 years. And there are cases like that I've heard and I've seen. So Dallas Buyers Club is such a story that we have seen. So there are plenty of such cases where people refuse to let go. They refuse to give in. They said, yes, we know there may not be a way out of this, but let us try and do our best while we are around. And that automatically let us be more positive. That positive outlook to life and to do things, make the most of your time, as long as obviously you're healthy enough to do it and the doctor permits you to do it, the experts. That's most important. For me, it happened to me one fine day in a classroom. It was a very hot day in the summer. It was around about the end of April or mid-April. Mid to the end of the April, maybe around 21st, 22nd of the month. Around 11 years ago, I think it was exactly 10 to 11 years ago, it happened that it was very common for me to take classes. I was obviously a soft skills trainer in the classroom mainly. Now I do it online. So when I would take my classes, I would take it for 4 hours at a stretch. Literally at a stretch, I would take a very tiny break of 10-15 minutes. And even during the break, unfortunately, I wouldn't get a break, because students would come up to me, my staff would come up to me. There would be something or the other to do. So I wouldn't actually get a complete break. And I didn't realize how important those breaks were in those years. I knew it was important, but I didn't take them still. Maybe I was so, hooked on to that high that I used to get by being in front of so many students and speaking there. So one day what happened in around 21st to 23rd of April, I think one of those days, I should remember the date, but I don't right now. I happened to be taking a very long class. It was a hot day. I was late that day to the class, so I went on my bike, very hot afternoon. By the time I reached my classroom, I didn't have much of a chance to drink water or eat something. And then I took this long class where I didn't really get much of a chance to have a proper break in the middle to eat something, drink something. All I did was take a few sips of water, but obviously that wasn't enough. At the end of the class, it was almost 6 p.m. in the evening, and I was exhausted. And finally, just before it ended, luckily it happened before it ended, I collapsed and I was feeling giddy, and within a few seconds I was on the ground. I didn't know exactly how it happened, but I guess that's how it happened. When luckily my staff was there, the students were around, they immediately called the staff, they were alert, they helped me onto the stool, the chair rather, and everything was okay. In 5 minutes I felt a lot better. I drank a lot of water. I came home. It was a tough ride home because I was on my bike. Going back home on the scooter rather, it was a hectic thing on my own to go back home. Somehow I felt I was better. I waited in the classroom for some time. Then I rode back home. When I reached home, once again when I entered, I felt dizzy. I literally collapsed on the bed. The doctor was immediately called. Kirti called the doctor. We had just been married that time. It was less than a year or year and a half, I'm not sure. And then, I was told that I have very high blood pressure. I have, other things, maybe a lot of stress. My lifestyle, I also had exhaustion. I was mentally exhausted, or whatever the symptoms showed. It basically showed that I was burned out. So anyway, long story short, for me too, that was like a turning point. Sharing this because it will connect with a lot of people. Sometimes the signs don't directly come, as in the case of an X-ray or a CT scan or a HIV/AIDS test result or something else like that.
Cancer.
Sometimes you may get a symptom through a friend's death, which is unfortunate that the friend dies. But in the friend's death, who died at a very young age maybe, you realize that, life is fragile. Similarly for me, that was a wake-up call. I made drastic changes. I didn't do it immediately because that would also be disastrous. I took a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years to make a lot of changes in my entire lifestyle, what I ate, what I drank, how many hours I slept, how many hours I worked, traveling. A lot of things happened in that year because I decided I'm not going to go like that. I don't want to just collapse to the floor and die. I'm so young. At that time I was early 30s, 31, maybe 30, 31, 32. So I said, I don't want to go this way. I had a baby who was just born. Didn't want to, what use is that? So, when you have a baby and you are in that position. So this song really helps me, These are the kind of songs that actually inspired me. I've heard these kind of songs a lot, this being one of them, which actually connected with me at a very young age. Little bit earlier than when this happened, I believe. So these things actually help people. That's some beauty of songs like that. If they are meaningful, thought-provoking, you actually realize, it can turn your life around. It's
they add value to your life. And that's the music, that's the kind of music everybody needs.
So that's about it for this one. Check out our Patreon page to learn more. I love the music, I love the song. I already mentioned about it. So I don't want to get too deep into it to sound like a biased, dishonest person. But I love this song, and obviously it has a lot of meaning. It's for you and me now to take more meaning out of it, and for Kirti, the first time listener. So that's it for this one. Goodbye.